Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Johnson back again. I've brought Paul's letter to the Ephesians. We have another part in that, and I have something fun to show you later today too as well. But first, let's go to Paul's letter. Our lesson this week is on copying God, copying God's holy ways. So let's open it up and see what he's got for us today. Paul writes, just like young children like to copy their daddies and do things just like them, we should copy God's ways of loving other people and doing good things. Jesus shows us how. Now, I'm not going to tell you all about all the bad things that people do, but let me tell you two things about that. Remember, people who don't stop doing wrong things and don't tell God they are sorry cannot live in heaven with Jesus someday. There will be no wrong things there. That's good news, boys and girls, no wrong things. But bad news if people don't stop doing their wrong things. And the second thing is, some people don't want to live God's way. Oh no. Some people don't want to live God's way and might try to tell you that it's okay and fun to do wrong things with them. But that would be like trying to walk in the dark without a light to show us where to safely walk. Don't listen to those people and don't join in. When we copy Jesus and do things God's way, it's like having Jesus shine a light for us to show us where to go and what to do safely. Oh, much better to copy God than do those wrong things with other people. But you know, we've been talking about some of the stories, and some of the pictures that I've shown you in those stories have all been about Jesus as a man. And that's good, because that was when Jesus was showing us all those good things to do and how to love other people, how to forgive and things like that. But Jesus didn't come here as a man. He came here as a little baby. So I thought it might be fun today to go over and look at some of the story pictures that talk about when Jesus was a baby. Oh, that sounds good. And also, since it's Christmas time, Christmas is coming very soon, I thought it might be fun to look at some Christmas things. So I took pictures of them, and let's go and look at those first. So come with me. Here's the first thing to look at, boys and girls, that reminds us of Christmas sometimes. Do you know what this is? If I pick it up and move it around, do you know what this is? This is a candy cane, isn't it? And what do we do with candy canes? Yes, we eat them. They taste nice and sweet. Sometimes we eat it whole like this and just suck on one end. Sometimes people will crush it up into little tiny pieces with a hammer or the handle of a knife, and they'll sprinkle those little pieces on cake or ice cream or maybe a Christmas cupcake, and it adds a sweet, crunchy texture to the cupcake or to the ice cream. They usually have a mint flavor. That's a candy cane. Let's go to the next thing. Here I have a picture of something hanging on a door. Do you know what this is? Yes, this is a wreath, a Christmas wreath. It's a pretty wreath. It has red balls and flowers on it and a red bow. Now, lots of times people hang wreaths on their doors at other times during the year. But when it has this much red on it and a big red bow, that's usually a Christmas wreath. Let's go to the next picture. Does anyone know what these are? Yes, these are ornaments, Christmas tree ornaments. See, they have little tiny hooks on them, and you can use that to hook onto the Christmas tree. They come in all different colors and sizes and shapes. Most of these are round. This one here is a very old one from my mommy and daddy's tree, Grandma and Grandpa Lewis, and that is shaped like a little bell. Do you know what this picture is? Oh, yes, we do, don't we? It is a Christmas tree. This happens to be our tree in our yard, in our living room, actually. Some people do have them out in their yards, but ours is in our living room. And it has pretty colored lights on it and some of the ornaments that I just showed you. How about this picture here? What are these? Do you know what these are? Yes, these are stockings. Christmas stockings. We don't wear these on our feet. These can be hung up. As you see, these people have hung theirs on a clothesline with little pins, clothespins. Sometimes if you have a fireplace in your house, you might have a stocking hanging by your fireplace. Some people, if they don't have a fireplace, will lay them over the back of the couch or stand them up on top of the couch. Some people have them hanging from their beds. Let's see, what is this picture here? What shape is this? Yes, this is a star. This is the star that's on top of our tree. It's a very pretty one. It's made of a shiny metal, and it has little sparkly colored things on it. How about this picture here? What is this a picture of? Yes, this is an angel picture. Now, in the Bible, boys and girls, sometimes angels have wings and sometimes they don't. So the person who drew this picture put wings on their angel. But they don't all have wings. I have one more picture to show you. Does anyone know who this is right here? This is a picture of who? Yes, this is a picture of Santa Claus. He's all dressed in his red jacket with his big fluffy beard. It looks like his bag over his shoulder. Yes, all these pictures are things about Christmas time. But you know, let me push them all together here if I can, so we can see them. And I'll back up the camera and see if we can see everything all at once. Can I? Sort of. A number of these things were not at the first Christmas, boys and girls. Now that might seem strange to you, that there were not all of these things at the first Christmas. But remember, if it's the first Christmas, it means that there never was a Christmas before. And they would not have had these things. The first things I'll take out would be the candy canes. And did I tell you that this candy cane, if you stand it up like this, is the letter J? J is for Jesus. The man who first made Christmas canes wanted it to be in the shape of a letter J because he wanted it to remind people about Christmas being Jesus' birthday. So let's take these away because that man was not living in Bible times. Nobody knew how to make candy canes in Bible times. So that picture is gone. How about this picture here of the wreath? Yeah, if there had never been a Christmas before, there wouldn't have been anybody who knew how to do Christmas wreaths. So they wouldn't have had a Christmas wreath. So let's take that picture away too. How about the ornaments? People didn't know how to make these kinds of ornaments back in Bible times. Not at all. So we'll take the ornament picture away. Oh my. We're down to just a few pictures here. Let's see, what else? Here's our Christmas tree. Well, trees certainly were growing in Bible times, but there were no electric lights. The bright colored lights on my tree, nobody knew how to make those. And people weren't decorating trees with ornaments and things like that back then. They just didn't have Christmas trees. So that picture has to go. My goodness me, we're getting smaller and smaller here, aren't we? Let's keep looking. The stockings. People didn't put stockings on their fireplaces. They didn't do that in Bible times. I don't know if they even knew how to make stockings. So they have to go. Well, we're down to 3 pictures left. And you know, here is Santa. People weren't doing Santa Claus at the first Christmas either. There was no Santa Claus in Bible times. So Santa Claus has to leave. My goodness, what do we have left, boys and girls? We have a star, and we have the angel picture. Now, at the first Christmas, there was a star, but it didn't look like this one. I'll show you a different star picture in a little bit. And there was an angel. In fact, there was more than one angel in the Christmas story, the very first Christmas story. We don't know what it looked like because we weren't there. We just have to go by the pictures that people draw. So let me get out a different set of pictures now that will show us what did happen at the first Christmas. I told you, boys and girls, that there were some angels in the first Christmas story. Here's one who has all of a sudden come to talk to a young woman named Mary. Mary is very afraid when she sees the angel because she's never seen one before. All of a sudden, there he is in the room. And he says, Mary, don't be afraid. God is very happy with you because of the good way that you have been living. He wants to have you be the mommy of his little baby. And when the baby is born, he wants you to call the baby Jesus. That will be his name. Oh, how special. How special. Mary says to the angel, yes, I will do what God wants me to do. Did you hear that, boys and girls? Mary is obeying God. That will make God very happy. She says, yes, I will do what God wants me to do. I am happy to do that. Thank you so much. The same angel would go and visit Joseph too. I don't have a picture of that. But he tells Joseph, Mary is going to have a baby, and I want you to call him Jesus when he is born. He is the one who is going to take away the wrong things, the dirty sin spots that everybody has. And Joseph was happy. So he and Mary got married, and then they had to travel to a faraway place just before Jesus was born. And when they got there, there was no place to stay. The motel was full. Too many other travelers were there. But the man in charge said, I don't have rooms here in my motel. But if you want to go out where the animals are, there is a place there. And look who was born that night. Baby Jesus. They wrapped him up in nice cloths to keep him snug and cozy, and they laid him in a bed of hay. That's where the animals would eat. They wouldn't eat Jesus, they would just eat the hay. But they used that to be his little bed because they didn't have any crib or anything else for him. What a special night, boys and girls. Baby Jesus was born. Look at how happy Mary and Joseph are, looking down at this little baby, a special gift from God, a special present. But that's not the only thing that happened that night. Off in the hills, the shepherds were taking care of their sheep, and all of a sudden there were bright lights in the sky. Bright lights. And the shepherds were afraid. And then, even more special, an angel came and said, Don't be afraid, shepherds. Don't be afraid. God has sent his son tonight. He is born in this town of Bethlehem, and you will find him there, wrapped up in cloths, lying in the manger, lying where the animals can eat. The shepherds were excited and said, "Oh, how wonderful! Let's go and see him." So they went to Bethlehem. And what did they see? Joseph and Mary and baby Jesus, wrapped in cloth, just like the angel said, and lying in the manger. But that's not the only thing that happened that night. Far, far away in another country, a very bright light was shining in the sky. A bright star. A star that had not been there before. Do you see how big and bright it is, boys and girls? Way up there. Right there in the sky. And some men who were very, very wise and knew a lot of things looked up and saw that star and said, "God has sent a new king. We have to take him some presents and go and see him." So they packed up the presents, put them on their camels. They had 3 presents to give the new king. And they rode and they rode and they rode. And they followed the bright light of the star. Do you see right at the edge of the picture there? They followed that light. The star was moving, boys and girls, and it showed them which way to go. How exciting is that? A moving star that shows them which way they're supposed to go. Wow. Now, while they were traveling, Mary and Joseph took Jesus into the temple, God's house. Kind of like our churches today, only they called them temples back then. And when they got there, there was an old man named Simeon and an old lady named Anna. And they worked in the temple. They worked there, taking care of the building, helping people who needed help. But they had worked there for many, many, many years. And they both knew that someday God was going to send someone special to take away dirty sin spots, to take away all the bad things that people do. They knew he was coming, but they didn't know when. And when they saw baby Jesus, Simeon looked up toward heaven and said, "Thank you, God. Thank you that I have lived long enough to see your son, the special person you were going to send to us." And Anna was so excited when she saw him. She went and told lots of people, "God's son has come. I have seen him." Wow. Baby Jesus had shepherds for company the first time. And now he gets to see special people in the temple, and they are happy to see him. And I told you the wise men were following the star. They kept on following. Here it is, big and bright, until such time as the star stopped, and the brightness of it, right here, shined right down over the house where Jesus was living. Now, this was later, much later, after he was born, boys and girls. He wasn't a brand new baby anymore, and he wasn't still living out near the manger where the animals were. He was back in a regular house. And the wise men stopped, and they came inside the house, and they saw Jesus and Mary. See, Jesus is bigger now. He's not a brand new little baby. And he's probably around between 1 and 2 years old. But they brought in the presents that they had. They had gold, because Jesus is a king. They had something called, here's the gold right here. They had something called frankincense, which is a special, it's an incense. It's a special, almost like a special spice that smells very nice when it's burned. And people used to burn incense or frankincense in their temples when they were praying to God. So they brought him frankincense because he is God. And they brought him myrrh. Myrrh is a kind of a perfume. It's not a wet perfume. It's almost like a sticky perfume, more something that you could rub on your skin. And when people died in Bible times, boys and girls, they would take this myrrh perfume and put it on the skin of the person who had died. See? God has let the wise men know that Jesus is a king. They bring him gold. He is God. They bring him frankincense. And he is going to die someday. And they bring him myrrh for when he dies. Wow. 3 special presents for a very special boy. Now, the wise men had stopped and talked to the king in the area and to ask him where Jesus was. And the king's helpers told them he is in Bethlehem. That's where he was born. So they found him. But an angel came to the wise men too afterwards and said, "Don't go back by the king. He wants to hurt the baby. Go home another way. He wants to hurt the child. Go home a different way." So they did. And then when the king found out that the wise men did not come back and tell him where Jesus was, he got very angry. And he told his soldiers, "Go out in the town and kill all the baby boys who are aged 2 and younger. So 2 or 1 or still babies, get rid of them." The angel came back to Joseph and woke him up at night and said, "Joseph, hurry, take Jesus and his mother, Mary, and take them to a faraway country. The king is trying to catch him and hurt him." So Joseph obeyed the angel right away, and he and Mary packed up their things, and they set out at night. See, here are the stars up in the sky. They set out at night, going down the road to a far, far away country to keep little Jesus safe. When the angel came back to Joseph later, he said, "Joseph, the bad king has died, and now you can come back. It's okay." Wow, Jesus was in danger then, wasn't he? But the angel protected them. He told Joseph what to do and when. You see this picture, boys and girls? Mrs. Lindsay gave me this last year as a Christmas card. And it shows 2 things about Jesus. 1, he would be a little baby in a manger, and the wise men would follow that bright star and bring him his presents. But someday he would have to die on the cross to take away our dirty sin spots, take away all the wrong things that we had done. But the time wasn't now. It wasn't right now when baby Jesus was still young. So that's why the angel warned Joseph to take him away. The time for Jesus to die would come later when he was a man. But just remember, always remember, the first Christmas was very special because Jesus did come as a little baby. But he would grow up to be a man, and someday he would have to go to that cross and die. Here you see some bells, boys and girls. I have a special Christmas song that I want to sing for you this week. So instead of doing our Ephesians Bible words and our Ephesians song, I'm going to sing you my Christmas song. If you know it, you can join in with me. Some of the older boys and girls might because I've sung it to them other years. And this is how it starts with the happy bells. I'm going to jingle them. Happy, happy, happy bells. Happy, happy, happy bells. Jesus is born. Jesus is born. The angel came to Mary, and he had this to say: "God sending you a baby, and Jesus is his name." Mary and Joseph traveled far, far away. They wrapped up baby Jesus and laid him in the hay. Happy, happy, happy bells. Happy, happy, happy bells. Jesus is born. Jesus is born. The
Shepherds saw the angels way up in the sky. They told of baby Jesus and then praised God on high. The wise men saw the bright star showing them the way. It stopped and shined right down upon the house where Jesus lay. Happy, happy, happy bells, happy, happy, happy bells. Jesus is born, Jesus is born.
And so, boys and girls, that is the story of the very, very first Christmas. And I hope this year, as you celebrate Christmas, however you do it, maybe you have a tree and decorations and stockings and things, but maybe you don't. That's not what's important. I hope that you'll remember that what makes Christmas so special is that God loved us so much that he sent his son, Jesus, to be the special person who would come and take away our dirty sin spots if we ask him to. And I hope that that's what you'll remember, and that that's what made Christmas so special for you this year. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I hope to be back doing some more lessons from Ephesians with Paul. And I should say at the very end here, remember when I read from the scroll earlier today, it was about copying God, copying Jesus. Remember that baby Jesus grew up to be the wonderful man that he was. The man who told people about God, who told them how much God loved them, and the man who did wonderful things for people because he loved them. He is the man that we should be copying. So, by all means, celebrate baby Jesus' birthday. Some people even have a birthday cake to say, Happy Birthday, Jesus. But remember that besides just being a baby, he also came to be a man who would grow up and die for us because he loved us that much. Merry Christmas to all of you. Bye-bye.